Invasion angle.
Today, we're joined by a true veteran of the global wrestling scene, a multi-time champion in Ring of Honor, New Japan, and NXT, and a founding member of the Undisputed Era. Currently working with MLW, he's known for his technical skill, striking precision, and having the most educated feet in the professional wrestling world. Please welcome Bobby Fish.
Yes. Welcome, Bobby. It's a pleasure to have you on, man.
No, thank y'all for having me. Pleasure is all mine.
Yeah, it was cool. I'd seen. Yeah. I saw you posted the video on the reel on Instagram showing that you're starting a YouTube channel with kind of just all different kind of stories on the road, and I feel like it's just like endless because as you're saying in one video, 25 years of stories. So and I'm sure as you're like starting to go through these, you're gonna remember things that you haven't thought about in years too. And also before we kind of get into that, I had a side question. I know you mentioned you played football through like probably through adolescence, high school, and I guess at college as well. Who is your squad? I know it's from what the Internet Archives say, your Albany area, but
I'm from Albany. My dad was a New York Giants fan, but I grew up being originally a Steelers fan when I was real young. And then as I got older and like developed my own opinion, I was such a mark for Brian Bosworth. I followed him all the way through college. He was the only linebacker to win the Buckus Award twice. He was like my hero. So I became a Seattle Seahawks fan for a little while. I had no choice. I was a Kansas City Chiefs fan for a long time back in like the Montana years. So this when they weren't good. Okoye, Derek Thomas, people like that. So all these years later for Kansas City to be like perennial Super Bowl participants, it's I guess it's bittersweet because I don't really watch football anymore.
That's right. They become one of the biggest powerhouses once you're kind of done watching it.
Something weird that happens with pro wrestling is you end up, I don't know, you don't keep up with other shit really. Can I say?
Yeah. You can curse. Yeah,
just start.
That's never a problem.
I'm not really sure what happens, or maybe it's just that for me, like continuing to play up through college and stuff. Like I don't know. Maybe I was studying when I was watching, thinking I was a fan, and then because I wasn't participating anymore, like I don't know. It just my attention span for it waned over the years, and then eventually, like I even always tune into the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, being on the road most weekends is probably hard to catch any games anyway.
Yeah, it would be challenging, but like it just, I think I'm a very kind of all or nothing personality type. So like when I'm into something, I'm into that. It's not other interests, but like if there's crossover, like with professional wrestling, and then for me there was always crossover with martial arts, and so like MMA, so that's kind of a easy dot to connect. But I never assumed that I would stop watching football ever, and I did.
Yeah, I've had my less interested seasons for sure. Especially being a Giants fan too, it's been rough a little bit, but so I checked out all those videos, and the meeting Kyle's story, I thought was awesome. Great story to start off with your new vids, and
Cool.
just how you guys just like basically just met in the ring, you know, and like your first combos through basically what you're doing in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, kind of with and I went into it with the video on the YouTube channel, but like I think that there was a time in especially independent pro wrestling in this country where like it was just a misinterpreted Japanese strong style, and it was only because we were watching, we weren't involved. Most of the people that were trying to so I didn't realize that there was a misunderstanding until I started working for Pro Wrestling Noah, because then I was on the inside, and you know, it's like anything else. When you do something, you learn it. When you watch something, you don't. There's unseen things, you know.
Yeah.
You don't always know how to make the donuts by watching donuts get made.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what you said too. Yeah.
As much as people on Twitter think they know what they're watching.
Yeah. You know, people don't. But it just, their ignorance is not really fault of their own. So I can't hold it against somebody. And even in that story, like Kyle didn't know what he knew, and I didn't know a couple years previous to it. And the only reason I had any more of a clue than Kyle did at that time was because not only was I working for Pro Wrestling Noah, but a year prior, I retold this story, Sugira, who was one of the top guys there, he lit me the fuck up in a match. And it happened to be in a tag match that Loki was in that match with me, and Loki kind of iggied me afterwards and let me know, like, hey, that was probably a little bit of a message that like you're working a little too tight, or that you're a bit of a crowbar, or that you're, you know, it could have been any couple of options, but what it was not something I was privy to. So I learned on the job, and then I guess in my own caveman stupid ass way kind of played it forward to Kyle, because in that moment, like, Kyle would have been a little bit of the green boy, and I was by default in that Sugira role, but just as clueless was me a year previous. So
yeah. Well, you're saying you had like low-key got like made you privy to like why he kind of lit you up. Did Kyle have someone that made him privy to like why, you know, you kind of like did what you did when you first met, or he like went around for a few weeks or a month thinking like, dude, this guy, what did I do to this guy? He fucking hates me.
I think, and again, this would be a question for Kyle, but I think he didn't know. I think he didn't know for a few years, because after that, like, we would run into each other here and there, and eventually we would be the first match of Evolve when that company started. From there, I definitely were not just crossing paths more, but like got to know each other better, and really, you know, like that's when our bromance would have started to pick up. But yeah, I would imagine for a couple of years he was probably like, yeah, that guy's a bit of a dickhead.
That's funny for a couple of years, because like, yeah, you're saying videos, like I wonder when they actually started like shooting this shit and like getting to know each other on that level. And yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, and the irony of us becoming this tag team and us, you know, not sucking. Yeah, it's ironic. It's really the pro wrestling world is a total kick in the head sometimes.
Yeah. And then the other video I was watching, China, you were going through, you know, currently you have the hamstring injury. How is that at current time?
It's getting better. With the first video I cut, so I was pretty sure I tore it. Maybe it's just because I'm old, so these things hurt more, or you just know, like, okay, that's going to leave a mark. Like, I'm not walking that one off. And one of those instances. So I thought for sure I must have tore it, but I'm not only walking now, like I'm not really limping anymore. And today I work at a gym. I'm a personal trainer and a coach, and I hit a workout with like sled pushes and kettlebell cleans and wall balls and like things that an airdyne bike, like just things that I felt it, but yeah, there's no way I can consider myself injured right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, that's good. It's trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Banged up. Just banged up. But I thought like, oh man.
Yeah.
I am like, they wheeled me out to my car at this show because I didn't finish the match, which is unusual. I literally could not walk. So they a person on either side of me, brought me to the back, and then I had to drive home from Long Island that night. I think it was like 2.5 hours, and I'm not complaining. I mean, this is fucking pro wrestling, independent wrestling. Like, you sure this is what you want to do?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, like, not a lot of people get their start in the WWE like in their 40s, like you did. And what kind of like advantages do you think like that had, like some of those like veteran mentalities like that some of the younger talent that goes in like maybe too soon,
I don't really know. I mean, it was always like, obviously within the Undisputed Era, like I was the senior guy, but I don't know that anybody really had the like steering wheel. It was like we all kind of took turns, and everybody fit a different role. And it was Paul Heyman actually who talked to us about how the sum of all the parts, but it's also the way that all of the parts complement each other. And that's what I think you really had with us there. And that's my only real point of reference, because my time in WWE, it was the four of us. It was like, I mean, even when they broke us up, it was still the four of us. Like,
they were feuding with each other, and
and I could not, nor did I want to, but like none of us could wash off the stink of one another. I could never get rid of the stink of Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, and Roderick Strong, especially Roddy. Roddy stunk to high hell.
Yeah, I was gonna say that what
I don't want people on the internet are gonna be like, "Oh, Roderick Strong stinks." That's not true. He actually smells wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was the because it is kind of like almost like some of the best rock and roll bands have that dynamic. You know what I mean? Where everyone had kind of their part and how they fit, and it put them over more with the public. Like, of course, you have to have good music, and wrestling, it's like, of course, you have to perform in the ring, but then like outside, kind of the storylines, and your actual dynamic. I mean, who kind of bumped heads the most, and who was like the peacemaker of the group?
I think if anybody was we didn't need a peacemaker, because we
worked it out.
Why it worked is because, and I don't know, this could have, Triple H maybe saw this, or maybe it was, I've always had this hunch that it was William Regal, because Regal saw us at PWG and we weren't a group there. Kyle and I tagged more times than not, but like we weren't a group, but all of us individually, had our burn in PWG, and it was like the place to be if you could go. Like, it was critically acclaimed, but it was still a little bit underground. And I don't know what exactly or why they decided to put us into a group, but the reason why the group worked is because what you saw is what you got. Like, that's who we were. We traveled the roads with Ring of Honor for years, and then even just the regular independents, like the four of us, we would just cross paths here and there and in and out of each other's lives until eventually somebody decided to put it on screen and give it a good theme song that people liked, and put a name on it that we all fucking hated at first. And it turned into this thing that I like I said, I don't know, maybe Hunter predicted it from the beginning and knew exactly what he was doing, and every move was spot on calculated. I don't know, but I think it probably more likely was just the fact that what he put on screen was real, and there was we didn't have to manufacture anything really. Like, the production crew would joke with us that we were one take UE, and it was because whenever we did backstage stuff, like, we never went more than like 2 takes doing a promo or anything, because we were literally just 4 guys bullshitting the same way that we would if we were at Roddy's house, like watching a UFC fight. It just so it was easy. It was, for that 3 years or whatever, it wasn't like we had jobs, because going to work didn't feel like work.
Yeah, your boys, and that's awesome. And it's kind of crazy too, like looking at your timeline, like you're talking about like PWG and like kind of being there during their like renaissance, and before that being there for like Ring of Honor's kind of renaissance, as they're going to like just from an indie to like a more of an upper echelon company. And then you get to NXT, and I think, most people would say 2017 to 2020 was, peak NXT and like a renaissance within that company. And I mean, that body of work is, after that, like Triple H is then creative, they trust him enough to be creative for the main rosters and everything because of that success and that era. Is kind of the way I look at it. But yeah, it's kind of crazy just all in a row like that, where you're going, like, hitting these companies at like really great high points and a part of it though,
Yeah, if somebody told me that would have been my career when I was a kid, and watching, like, I came up on WWF obviously, but what really like turned me on to pro wrestling was NWA, what would eventually become WCW, but like the Crockett years. So like 88, 89, 90, those years, that to me, like, WWF was like, oh, that stuff's maybe that's fake, but I thought like NWA, like, oh, but that's real, and I knew it was real, but there was something gritty and different about it,
authentic.
And I saw it on TBS, because I'm from upstate New York, so it was once the Atlanta Braves, TBS and Turner Broadcasting, whatever. Once that came on, like, I remember the first Saturday I saw it, WWF Superstars was very homogenized, and then they're doing a recount of like Starrcade or I think it was the Bunkhouse Stampede, and the clips they're showing is Dusty Rhodes, and he's bleeding fucking buckets. And I'm a kid seeing this, and I'm like, holy shit, that's the stuff.
Yeah.
And I was sold. From then on, I was sold. So all these years later, to be basically, I used to joke and call us Hunter's Horsemen. When to be a part of the reincarnation or the reintroduction of the War Games, to be that pivotal of a entity in the reintroduction of that is, again, just something I'm endlessly grateful for, and I cherish as far as my career. But like, it's just something that if you told me as a kid, I'd have been like, you're fucking nuts. No way.
Yeah. And it's crazy because now it's Survivor Series War Games, it's, and anyone thinks of War Games, they think of Undisputed Era, so it's really,
it doesn't even seem real.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I know you were talking about like the fusion of MMA and stuff. Was that like why, like, to me, like watching like Japanese wrestling, like a lot of their technical stuff is more MMA-esque to me, as far as like it's more hard hitting and, you know, kind of. And I know you were kind of, so that goes kind of into, I was watching 2022. It was on the event in Dubai that you did, your professional boxing debut. And that was awesome. That was Floyd Mayweather's event. How was that the experience in Dubai and stuff? Is it first class all the way for performers there? That sort of like seems like from the outside, like they're, yeah.
Yeah, it was next level stuff, and that kind of fell in my lap. It was not something that was on my radar. I got a call from it was Trent Seven reached out to me, and then it went from Trent because Andy Shepherd had reached out to him. Andy Shepherd of UK WWE announcer, Andy. And he got me hooked up with the people from Dubai that were interested in me coming over to fight. And like in the beginning, I didn't know. He was like, yeah, they love your style and they love what you do in the ring. And like at that point, I had 3 previous amateur kickboxing fights, actually 4, I'm sorry. But that's not what you would know me for. You would know me from pro. So my question to Andy was like, they know what they're watching, right? Like,
yeah.
And so I don't, but listen, the money was not something I could say no to. They flew over with me, my now ex-wife, but my wife at the time, my trainer, who was a good friend of mine, and then my agent. So they flew us all to Dubai, and we were there for a week. And it was kind of like, even if I wasn't getting paid, it would have been worth doing. But, on top of it, and it was like, when do you need me at the airport?
Yeah, and then it's crazy because then your professional boxing debut, you're on a Floyd Mayweather card. It's it's so wild. Yeah,
professional boxer.
Yeah, because I
and you're undefeated.
Yeah, undefeated. Never have to do it again.
Yeah.
And I think it was the body shot that seemed like it initially dropped him, right? And then you just kind of gave him that little hook.
I don't know
good night.
Exactly what happened, but I know that like I was going over, like for me, the preparation and that part was what I really wanted out of it. Was like experience. I just wanted to compete again. So getting that opportunity, anything else was gravy. So like going over there, like I said, my ex-wife now, but at the time was my wife, winning was just a bonus because, you don't want to get beat up in front of your wife. That's a tough flight home. So the fact that I was fortunate enough to win was, again, just a bonus.
Yeah, no, that was awesome and in dominating fashion too. Yeah, I mean, is that when you were doing like amateur kickboxing and like that was like in 2000s and 2010 era, was that something you wanted to kind of do at the same time as pro wrestling, or if you got better opportunities in kickboxing, would you have just focused on that, or?
Maybe, because I think what I realized after, like a decade or more in pro wrestling is that I kind of conceptualized. I'd been an athlete my whole life, and pro wrestling I thought was scratching that same itch. And it wasn't until I did the boxing fight that I realized, like, oh, it's a different itch, slightly different, but different nonetheless. Like, because when you prepare for a fight or a football game or a lacrosse game, anything, like, you're training your default to act in a certain way when the lights are the brightest, like when it's game day or whatever it is. And then, pro wrestling, what I realize is because there's so many variables that are quote unquote under our control, you're expected to like be perfect. Competition is not perfect. Like if we're going to compete, you sign the contract, I sign the contract. I'm going to try to hurt you, you're going to try to hurt me. It's understood. So your purpose is very single-minded. You're very focused on, like, if I got to hurt you, it is what it is. Pro wrestling, it's like, hey, spin these 3 plates and then go to the ring. And while you're spinning these 3 plates, I need you to spin 2 more. And then when the top rope breaks, you're spinning 7 more. And like, it just, so there's a lot of anxiety. Probably, I think I personally have more anxiety doing pro wrestling than I ever did going out and competing. And I think that some people might surprise them. Like, I have much less fear going out, and like, I could have lost and I could have gotten beat up in front of my wife and, you know, the rest of the world. But that produced less anxiety for me than going out and doing a pro wrestling match, because it, you know, it like we put pressure on ourselves that, if you really think about it, like, nobody really knows how this thing's supposed to go except for the 2 assholes out there bumping around in the rings.
Yeah. How long did they give you to prepare for that fight?
Like 8 weeks.
8 weeks, okay.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because you're going against someone that's what they do, you know, for the past whatever amount of years. As far as boxing, their main focus. I
think the toughest part for me, and I was with my my Muay Thai trainer, and I didn't opt for a boxing trainer because I figured I love Alec Brooks, and he was my trainer, and I knew him, and after like debating it for like less than an hour, I was like, I don't want to train with anybody else. And then when I knew that they were going to fly him over too, I was like, yeah, I don't want to be over there with somebody I barely know. But then also, the hardest thing in the training was just changing some of my habits from Muay Thai, because Muay Thai is a much more upright stance. Because you have leg kicks, you're heavier on your back leg and you're lighter on your front leg, so that you can check kicks with that front leg. Boxing is the complete opposite. Nobody's kicking your legs, so you want to sit down on your punches and for those punches to really be more powerful. So it was and a lot more head movement when it comes to boxing, where with Muay Thai it's just different.
So kind of midway point, so I have some rapid fire questions, which they don't have to really be rapid fire. There's kind of some fun questions. Starting off, since pro wrestling loves to do this, I was gonna ask you what your Mount Rushmore was of the hardest hitting wrestlers you've faced in the ring. Like, you know, you're gonna be sore after, you'll work stiff with them because, you know, it's the right show and you guys are down with it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you asked that, because that is the reason I got into pro wrestling. Because for me, it was like to continue being an athlete. Like, I wanted to play football, and I went to college basically just to play football. But like, I'm a 5'9", actually probably even shorter, white kid from upstate New York. Like, I'm getting a scholarship to play football was going to be a long shot. But I'm sorry, what was the question again?
So the Mount Rushmore for you of like wrestlers you faced that are the hardest hitting, you know. And
gotcha. Okay.
You work stiff with them, and you know it's going to be
So I think part of, for me, getting into pro wrestling, I didn't get into it to, you know, perform choreographed like dance routines. Like, I got in there to continue feeling like I just played in a football game.
Yeah.
You know? And this is one of the things I talk about on the channel when I was talking about the Briscoes. I watched Mark and Jay for years, before I was at a level where I was wrestling well enough, or peers that I would be able to compete with them, because I was trained by Tony DeVito. So like I saw Ring of Honor when it, before it made it to TV and anything else. And Mark and Jay were always there. And they were guys that they fucking brought it. And I think, to me, they were like a walking football game. And, those would definitely be like top of the list for the guys that I knew if we were wrestling them, I was going to be feeling it the next day, but in the best way possible, because they were going to hit you, and they were going to expect you to hit them. Nobody was trying necessarily to like injure anyone, but it just, there was an understanding of, this is how it's going to be. This one's going to be, you might lose a tooth on this one. And you look at Mark Briscoe, he's lost a few. But that was okay. And I think, and I don't want to speak for Kyle, but I think I can when I say that that's exactly how we liked it. And that's exactly how Mark and Jay operated. And, it was like a not to be overly dramatic, but it was a match made in heaven, because when you have that understanding, it's great, because you're going to try to outperform each other. But at the same time, you have a respect for one another, and I can hit them, not, I don't have to be, I can't be careless, but I can throw wind and just fucking lean in, and they're going to lean in on me, and it's going to be, quarter for quarter. So Mark and Jay are at the top of that list. I would say like AOP to a degree, because they were so fucking big, and they came from backgrounds of just really knocking your dick in the dirt. So and
those were big guys.
Yeah, Sanity was another one that we worked with a lot early on. So like Killian and Wolfie and EY, they all went hard, and that's I loved every bit of it.
Oh yeah. I have another. We're going with the rapid fire, so we're just asking questions with no rational segue. Who's someone you'd love to wrestle that you've never shared a ring with, dead or alive?
So the Great Muta for sure. But then also Samoa Joe. Joe, he was such an influence to me. There were guys like the Great Muta and Sting and the Dynamite Kid that were, influences to me when I was a kid growing up, and was such a fan. Even Hulk Hogan, like, I'm not going to lie, I was a Hulkamaniac. But then when the idea, the premise of like doing this was on the radar, it was guys like Kenta, first and foremost. He was the first guy I saw that I because I've been doing martial arts since I was a kid. And when I was learning pro wrestling, it was like, okay, well, when it comes time for me to put my flavor on it, I want it to be that. Because, martial arts was so, when you're a martial artist, a true martial artist, like, you'll be that until the day you die. And I think when it comes to pro wrestling, I feel like that was kind of my adult life's work, was figuring out, once I learned how to do pro wrestling, was how do I get as much of my martial arts into my pro wrestling, because we get to have a flavor, but you have to have a good basis and a good foundation to work from. And like, I was fortunate enough that Tony DeVito gave me that. And then once I I had that, it was to, let's figure out how to get this in there. And Kenta, I think personally, Kenta was this generation's Dynamite Kid. And what I mean by that is there were a lot of people in Dynamite's time that emulated him. You know, you could obviously Chris Benoit, we're not supposed to say his name, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then, like, you look at other guys, like I'll include myself in that. I was so influenced by Dynamite, but then like a guy like Davey Richards and Bryan Danielson. I think Kenta was our generation's Dynamite in that this MMA martial arts influenced, like misinterpreted Japanese strong style element that I think was what Ring of Honor eventually became. I think nobody was doing it better than Kenta. And when Kenta was doing that in Pro Wrestling Noah, it was revolutionary. And I think everybody that came after that was emulating him in some way. I know I fucking was.
Yeah.
I know that they're like Top Rope Falcon Arrow. He's the first one I saw do it. And for me, I knew his kickboxing was legitimate, and that's why I was so drawn to him. And then Samoa Joe coming up in Ring of Honor as the man, and the way that Gabe presented him to people was brilliant. But it was also the talent of Joe, and I think Joe was like a big Kenta, like a big Kenta who should be nowhere near as athletic as he is. And I mean, he was just to me, Joe was captivating.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Kenta's influence, you can just see across so many different wrestlers over the past 2 decades. Like Shinsuke Nakamura, definitely. And he was kind of, because he came a little bit after, I mean, down to Okada, just really, the influence is all across. Yeah, Eddie, I mean, yeah, you definitely see it everywhere in wrestling. And, you know, some people steal his finishing moves, stuff like that. And
I mean, and again, it just speaks to how influential he was and is, and I hope that, you know, as the years go on, he'll get the credit that he deserves, because, you know, he deserves it. He influenced a lot of people.
Yeah. So another rapid fire question. This one's you've won tons of titles, but to you, what was the most and is the most aesthetically pleasing title that you've won? Like that's
so the actual belt itself.
Yeah, the most aesthetically pleasing title to you, because everyone's got, like, you know, fans of their favorite titles at some point, but yeah, out of all the like the titles you've won, what's your fave? Look wise, yeah.
Yeah, there was something cool about the black and gold, and just the 3 letters NXT. It looks cool. Like, you know, you could throw 3 letters up there, ABC. They don't look as cool as NXT. I don't fucking know why, but just don't. So, yeah.
Yeah. Also, to speak to that, not just the one that looks the coolest, like what title or accomplishment, like, are you most proud of?
There's a couple of different ones. Obviously, winning tag titles with Kyle always, you know, will mean something to me, because I got to share it with, you know, who would eventually be like a brother to me. So WWE is the pinnacle, you know, so to wear those NXT titles, to know that the company trusted us at that time in that way, and I got to do it with a person that I consider a brother, that'll always hold a special place. But I think also the Ring of Honor TV title, because there was a while there where it was like, oh, okay, well, you know, he's a tag team guy. And I was given an opportunity to step outside of that. And I always believed that I was able to. there was a time when Jay Briscoe was the Ring of Honor World Champion, and there's a friend of mine. His name is George. He works for WWE now, but he and I were thick as thieves at one time, and we did a lot of like planning of things, and we would almost manifest things to happen. And there was a random show at the ECW arena, not random, but it was a Ring of Honor show, and randomly I was gonna wrestle Jay Briscoe for the world title. But I was this tag team guy, like nobody really. And the way that we attacked the promos and the different things that we did, we created a buzz to where I think we convinced people that they thought maybe they were going to see a title switch. And the fact that we just could put that doubt in people, like, to me, that was a job well done, and that made it all worth it. So to get the nod, even with just the TV title, that has a special place too, because it's like, there was more to me than just tag team wrestling. But shit, if it was just tag team wrestling, what the fuck's wrong with that? Like, tag team wrestling,
definitely,
cool too. So whatever. And at the end of the day, pro wrestling, we all love it, right? But like, it's predetermined, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, you were the champion of whatever, but were you really?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Of course. And it's but that's what makes it such a great art form too. And and it's just like when you're watching wrestling on TV, it's a TV show about a wrestling company, and you see the behind the scenes, you see everything going on. And I've always kind of looked at it in that light a bit. And then once you get in the ring, though, that's, obviously the performance end of everything. But I
mean, I got
set out as a storyteller right now to create. If pro wrestling didn't exist and you tried to create it, you'd fail fucking.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. It's just this amalgamation of things, and it's this coming together of like things and things that are complete polar opposites, and somehow it just creates what it creates. Like, I don't know, it defies explanation.
Yeah. I got a rapid fire for
let's go.
So you guys are, always on the road traveling. Like, what was your favorite mode of just passing the time between rides,
Oh, man, jeez. I don't, you mean like in the car or?
Yeah, in the car mostly, but anything else really? What comes to mind?
In the car, like, at least when it was me and Kyle and like even Roddy and Adam, like when we were doing Ring of Honor, and that was or NXT was cool too, because it was like being on a college football team again. Because we had a tour bus and we were all together as a unit, so it was like being on a team. I was always big on coffee. I had to have a Starbucks coffee. That would be one of the ways that I definitely passed time. On the bus with NXT, I would drink coffee and I would read. But in a car, in a vehicle, I definitely would not read, because I would get car sick if I tried reading in a car. But coffee was always a must. Here's something weird that I do when I drive. Because I'll start to fall asleep, right? And you can't do that. Or worse yet, kill somebody else. So I pull over at rest stops, and I'll get out of the car and I'll hit like 20 burpees. And generally, those 20 burpees will get me another hour of driving. So maybe not the exact answer to your question.
That's good.
Yeah. And did you guys have like as far as like playing any music, were there bands that all four of you were on point with?
Um, this is a weird time. Like it was more of an era of like podcasts, like when
Podcasts, yeah. Yeah.
Joe Rogan got a ton of play.
Yeah. Because he
Yeah,
can go so long, have like a 3-hour podcast, especially long rides. It's like perfect.
yeah. For me, especially nowadays, because when I'll do a lot of these drives, I'm doing them by myself. That's the weird thing about independent wrestling too, is you start to get to sometimes you just end up in the circumstances where it's like, you get your bookings and your bookings are individual, and a lot of them are flights and stuff, so you're traveling by yourself anyway. But when it's driving and you got something where it's like it's not long enough to fly, but it's longer than 3 hours, like a 4-hour drive is like, well, fuck, that's
Yeah.
So a podcast comes in clutch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the drive home is the most painful too.
It
Because then it's
depends.
just like, oh, you go through all the event, and well, I'm sure the hamstring injury wasn't a fun drive home from Long Island. Yeah.
That sucks because it was my right leg too, so I had to brake.
So it's the gas. Oh man. Yeah,
But
the gas and brake foot.
on the highway, so
Yeah.
yeah.
This,
So, but
this is
again, it's one of those things where you just go like, okay, this is pro wrestling. Like I can remember a time when I was coming up where I was in Massachusetts, so probably like a 3.5 hour drive home to upstate New York. This is when I lived in Saratoga, and my oldest daughter, who's now 21, at the time, this was maybe like her 4th birthday or her 5th birthday. And I wrestled the night before, and I ended up breaking my ankle. And I went to the hospital, and they were going to admit me, and I was like, you can't. I can't. I have to leave. So they casted my foot. I was like, I have to be home for my daughter's birthday. And so I drove home with my leg in a cast, propped up on my seat of my Toyota Corolla.
It's insane.
I drove the 3.5 hours home. They tried to give me pain medication at the hospital, and I put it in my mouth. And when they left the room, I spit it out because I was like, I am driving home. So the hamstring the other night, it's just another one of those to put in the, that master library of like odd situations that when it comes to pro wrestling, nothing is odd enough for you to not do it. Like the drive. I mean, literally there's things. I came home the first time from the UK. I spent 27 hours in transit getting home from the first time I went to the UK and did a wrestling. I was there for a month. And it dawned on me then. Like, it's just, you accept these things that to like, I'm going to say to a civilian would be outrageous. Like, what are you fucking thinking? Like, even when when I pulled my hamstring, my cousin messaged me the next day and asked me how things went, and he didn't know. And I told him, and his response to me, because I don't have health insurance, he's like, what the fuck are you doing wrestling without health insurance? And I thought about it, and this was something that I actually put on the YouTube channel. That's been 25 years. Most wrestlers don't have health insurance, unless you have a good, steady stand-up job. And we're independent contractors, so we don't have health insurance. And if you're, like when I worked for WWE and I blew out my ACL, it was covered because it happened in their ring and I was under contract. But outside of that, I wouldn't have had coverage, So I just, in a 25-year career, or however long it's been, fortunately for me, the 3.5 years that I was with WWE is when I blew out my ACL, because if it was anywhere else, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah. Because I'm sure they're, you know, all the doctors you're getting to are top notch as far as the surgeons with WWE. And
if it's WWE,
yeah.
My bad knee, the knee I had my ACL done on probably feels better than my good knee.
Yeah. And we were talking about like single wrestling. I thought it was like an awesome moment when you had gone to TNA and you did the "Where is the lie" line, because like right away that like caught like wildfire. And was that something that you would like when you're hanging out with the boys, like fuck around and say that, or is it that just come to you in that moment? Or
so that promo in and of itself, it was one of those segments that was too long and had too many moving pieces. So in hindsight, hindsight's 2020, right? But there were 7 people that were going to speak during that. It was Bully Ray, it was Moose, it was me, it was Steve Macklin, it was so. And in no way am I not taking accountability. Like if I was the turd in the punch bowl, hey, fucking guilty, I guess. I don't know, but it was overproduced, maybe. I don't know, but I know that like the fans were just ready to see something other than people talk. And I come out and it was Bully Ray I was referencing. And when you're putting these promos together, you put together what you're going to say, and then you just own your part of it. And you're, to varying degrees, you're aware of the audience or not aware, and you're just trying to get through the segment. And I don't know. I still to this day I don't really know what happened, but they were. You could have heard a mouse fart in the auditorium, and when I said, folks, where's the lie? You could only hear like crickets. Creak, creak. Creak, creak.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And and that was like the most viewed thing from that show as far as like social media and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean,
it's definitely taken on a life.
Myself, I loved it. Yeah.
It's taken on a life of its own, and now I don't know that I'll ever not be associated with those 5 words.
Yeah. Well, it's actually it's the name of your podcast, right? That
it's
you're also starting now.
Yeah, we're toying around with some things, but yeah, it'll definitely be. You're gonna see that on the channel, and you're gonna see it, roll around a few times.
Yeah. You have Devon as your first guest, right? Devon Dudley.
Yes. Yep. And I'll be talking about the way that Devon and I. I'm not going to say met, the way that we re-met, because we had met one time years ago, and then it was after I had left WWE, and then probably after I left AEW. I definitely had. But I was on my way home to Orlando, and we ended up on the same flight. And we obviously knew each other, but we hadn't ever really talked much. And then I ended up being in the seat right behind him on the plane. And so we got to talking and, just sharing stories. And I think we have very similar views of the business, the way that we see the business, and the way that we think the business is done well or not done well. I think we had a lot of commonality, and he in our conversation had found out that I was DDP yoga certified, and at that time he had come off of surgery on some of his vertebrae. He had some herniated discs, and I think it was a year prior to that was when he had his stroke. So he had some medical issues and stuff. So we started working together doing DDP yoga. I would go to his school in Orlando, and we would do our own hot DDP yoga sessions. And now I say hot because it wasn't as if the room was designed to be hot necessarily. It's just it was Florida and there was no AC, so we did our own version of hot
Make
yoga.
the most of it.
Yeah.
And hot yoga's rough too. I mean, it makes it even better. But I mean, obviously, it helped with like it's.
Because I'll say this now as a DDP yoga instructor and having worked with hundreds of people at this point, you are, when you're 30, 40 minutes in and it's really hot, there's positions and poses that are available to you that are not available otherwise.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because I know like they've always done, had hot yoga. I did it one time in the past, and it was it definitely pushes you more for sure, and it's definitely a different experience too.
I wanted to ask, you were speaking about having like this commonality with Devon. Like in MLW, is there anyone that you're kind of tight with? Do you ever chop it up with Paul Walter Hauser at all?
Paul Walter Hauser and I do. We have had quite a few conversations. We are very. I think we share a very similar sense of humor, which always helps.
Right on.
And he's insanely talented. He's just such a good human being. I'm a Christian. He's a Christian. Not that needs to be the case, but it just like-mindedness. And then another person, obviously, you'd associate me with C.W. Anderson. Anderson. Just guys that. We see the business in a very similar way. I love C-Dub. I love Brock. I was such a fan of Brock's dad growing up, and people would say that, like, as far as the Undisputed Era is, I would be the Arn Anderson of the Undisputed Era, or, so it just, there's a ton of it. And, there's guys there that I have history with. Riddle, another one that there's a lot of people in MLW who I'm very fond of.
Yeah. I got to see you. I think it was like early on, like last year at Center Stage down in Atlanta, because I used to be down in Georgia. I'm in Jersey now, but But that's such a great venue, and like while I was down there, I had no idea about kind of wrestling in the South, and so it was kind of cool just figuring out the territory and going Tennessee and all these different spots. And Center Stage, like. It's for fans, at least it's an awesome venue. And I mean, NXT just did something over the summer there, which I checked out before I left there. And how is it for wrestlers? Is that a venue where you're kind of excited to work? Because it's pretty unique, I would say. Yeah,
for sure, because there's just so much history there. Then also like just the fact that like the way that studio television was shot back in the day, and it still gets shot that way sometimes now, because it's a way to, it's antiquated at this point, but you keep your overhead lower, and everybody's always trying to save some money. You have to. That's smart business. So studio television of those shows, like I realize now, having seen the way the donuts are made, so to speak, that was done on purpose. It was done, the smaller studio audience, that was so that they could keep the costs lower, but it gave it a certain charm. And I think that that's why those places will always hold a special place for performers and whatnot, is because there's a charm to doing it in those buildings. And I think it comes across on the screen as well. Because even though it's antiquated, it's just the presentation is uniquely not 2025.
Yeah. Because I believe they did WCW Thunder back in the day there, right? I believe at some point.
They did a lot of
they did some WCW stuff there for sure.
Okay, yeah,
I was trying to remember the name of the show.
But yeah, it's like as a fan, I've just been to so many venues, and it's just great venue, and it's like built for wrestlers too, because the outside kind of dim lit, and everyone can have their tables kind of wrap around for merch and everything. Like every single aspect of that place was made for wrestling, I feel like. But
I just heard the name repeated so many times over so many broadcasts during your fandom when you were a kid, when you were just innocently watching this thing, almost like it was like Disney World, you just love it. So it's hard not to have some nostalgic, like, good vibes just wrapped up in all of that.
Yeah. So as we're kind of wrapping up, looking ahead, what's I know we talked about your channel, your podcast. Do you have some wrestling in the future that you're looking at? Some things that you're kind of looking to do, or other projects on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, definitely still doing some wrestling. I'm wrestling for Boca Raton Wrestling in November, early November, and then I'm doing, I think it's K&S WrestleFest in Long Island in November as well. Just have like the independent. I'm still taking independent bookings, so
Yeah.
and matches and whatever. But the big thing on my radar right now is the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We're really gonna we're really pushing forward with that. Bobbyfish.com will be coming soon. Bobbyfishmerch.com is coming soon. We're going to get the PWT's store back up running. There's going to be some new options up on there because I haven't updated the damn thing in probably a decade. So we're gonna like fully assault everything. If you go to the Bobby Fish on Instagram, the first link in my bio takes you to our YouTube page. So Bobby Fish 76 is the YouTube channel. The link, easiest way to find that is going to be the link in my bio from my Instagram, the Bobby Fish. And yeah, I mean we're hitting that with relentless forward progression, and
awesome.
Keep doing the thing, keep wrestling, keep talking to people, keep doing DDP yoga. Working as a coach and a fitness professional, and all the things.
Yeah,
right on.
Well, I'm excited to see the future of the stuff you're working on, and to hear more stories. Honestly, those few you've done so far are great. And we were talking before about injuries, like Christopher Daniels or whatever. He glued your eye up for you, right? It was your eye or head?
It was a PWG show, and we were literally flying to Japan the next day. And it was like, I needed stitches. I probably pretty bad, but there was no way that I could miss this flight. So C-Dub was like, get your ass over here. Or not CD.
Yeah.
Was like, get your ass over here. And he glued it shut. And he'd done it so many times that he's actually really goddamn good. So I just flew to Japan with crazy glue.
Yeah,
John had to have that done once. John was at a hardcore deathmatch show, and a tube hit him right in the nose.
Oh, really?
Yeah, lucky he didn't hit my eye, but there was because what they're doing the light tubes, but they're doing it on the corner of the ring with like really long ones, so the ends were shooting off like the last half a foot, and then it would explode, and it kept hitting the audience, and I'm like moving back a little further, and then take one right in the nose. But there was this British woman there that works as a paramedic in the UK and also goes to deathmatch stuff over there, and like we'll glue up the boys after their matches. So she was there for some of the wrestlers, and glued it up. So of course I filmed it, and then sold it and cut a promo on them after.
Nice. I don't, I've never done the light tubes.
It's wild for sure.
Credit for having made it. And when I see stuff like that, that's why I give so Matt Cardona, I give him such credit, like reinventing himself when he came back to the Indies, and that was probably the biggest splash that he made, was like doing the light tubes and that shit. I don't know. You get people that go to the big show, myself included as one of them, who I don't know if I'm doing that.
Fair enough.
I don't want.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
But the fact that he and I don't know if he would have strategically like plotted it out that way, but maybe he was just putting one foot in front of the other, or maybe he was truly calculated on the whole thing. But either way, I mean, he's the fucking indie god, and he said so much that like it works, man. It just becomes what it becomes. And how can you fucking love Matt Cardona? Like, just if you don't, we can't be friends.
Yeah, and he stays in kayfabe outside the ring in a great fashion every time I've seen him, like after shows or anything. It's fantastic, and
he's fun.
I've always liked him because our family's all out from Long Island, so he reminds me of like cousins I have, and I've always understood Cardona, where he comes from, but
he's always a great fucking tan too. I mean,
how does he do that?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you can take a pill that brings out the melanin, or the
melanin,
melanin in your skin, and maybe it's that. I don't know.
Triple H might have gave him some tips, because Triple H Ruthless Aggression era went pretty hard with some tans.
With the burns.
He did. Yeah. He had the bodybuilder stuff, which to me, always a little bit weird looking. Goes too far.
Yeah.
But Cardona is whatever he's doing. That's the tits.
Yeah. And you're probably used to smelling spray tan from wrestling all the time, right?
It smells
good. It does. It's a very specific smell. There's nothing that smells like it.
Body drench. And the first ones I saw using it were the Bucks. It's called Body Drench, and you get it at like a Sally's. That one smells fucking good. Like, I enjoy it. I'm looking at a bottle of it right now because my gear bag is open and sitting on the floor over here, and there's Body Drench right here, because otherwise I would not have remembered the name of it.
Yeah, well, next time we see you, maybe you'll be extra tan.
Well, if it's a show that I'm wrestling on, yes, I will.
Oh yeah.
We close out every episode giving a recommendation of a movie that we watched, or just one that we think people need to watch. We all went to film school, so that's how we kind of put that in there. So if you have one on the top of your mind, you can go for it.
I actually do, and it stays with the genre. I'm going to screw up the title, but you should all, hands down, go out of your way to see Kieran Cross, whatever you want to call him. It's a work.
Yeah.
Or I'm screwing up.
The new doc.
No, I think you got it right.
I think I did it.
Like, I just watched it, not last night, but the night before. And I know Kevin. I love Kevin. I love Kevin as a human being, first and foremost. But as a performer, even if I didn't know him and love him as a human being, I would just love him as a performer, because he's rare in every possible way. And he's so immensely talented. It's and the way that he kind of the perspective he attacks this business with, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's like something I've never seen in if I got to recommend something that I've watched recently, that would be it.
Yeah, it's One Big Work. Is the title.
Yeah. And I hope it is one big work, honestly, because like from the beginning I was just like, I would love to see, out of WWE. He does this whole indie thing and then kind of works his way back in as like an outsider of sorts. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
What the beauty of it actually is, and this is a credit to him, and I don't know that anybody other than him could have done this, is that the beauty of it is that it almost doesn't matter whether it's work or it's not work, because his talent jumps off the page in such a way that he's going to be fine no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, if he could not wrestle another day in his life from this day forward, and I swear to you, that man will land on his feet because his talent is just that abundant.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can tell that like the time he puts into everything too. I mean, all wrestlers do, obviously, but yeah, his creative's great, and yeah, I think he's definitely unique in every way, even with like his in-ring, style and just everything. But yeah, I definitely want to watch the full doc. I've seen a couple of clips of it, and yeah, I like that he's got like Darby in it. He's got different wrestlers from all different companies and stuff, and yeah, it's very, very interesting to kind of see that.
And anybody listening to this interview, do yourself that favor. Check it out. It's well worth the time.
Heck yeah.
Well, that was Bobby Fish's movie of the week. So,
yes.
Oh yeah.
Percentage. Yeah. Well, thank you for being on. It was awesome. It was obviously a pleasure. We've all been big fans of yours for a while, and kind of had a pause in wrestling, got back into it kind of all at the same time while we were at film school. And that was 2017 era, into 2018 when Undisputed Era was, peak and
flying high
going.
Yeah. So,
well, I'm glad we
just
that for you. It really does. It means the world to me as a performer that holds a special place for y'all, because that was, charmed years in our careers. I'll speak for the other three as well. Like, and we were literally just living a dream of like, we're four buddies who like love each other, love this business, and we're getting to do it on the biggest stage, and be produced by guys like Shawn fucking Michaels, who grew up watching. I spent the first 2 weeks being in his class, not hearing a word that came out of the man's mouth, not because I didn't want to hear it, but because I couldn't stop going, "You're fucking Shawn Michaels. Holy shit."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just cool. You like being able to work Shawn Michaels and Triple H. I'm sure it's like easy too as a performer, where you kind of your creative bosses, they've done it before and they can empathize with you and know what you're going through on a daily basis. So it's like, I'm sure that trust is just there from the start, compared to, I'm sure, other companies where you might not have bookers that have ever been in the ring before. It's kind of like in football. If you have a head coach that is a badass football player before, it's just like, even it's easy to link into it.
You literally just took the words out of my mouth, because my head coach in college was a guy, Ed Zaloom, who like I loved, and I played wanting to do well for myself, but I played. I wanted to play well for him as well. It was almost like looking up in the stands to see my dad, or I would look down the sideline to see Eddie Zaloom give me the nod, and then I there was an extra satisfaction there, and I'll say I felt the same thing with Triple H and with Shawn Michaels during the NXT Black and Gold. If we came through, and usually it would be in Gorilla, like after the War Games matches or whatnot, and Hunter and Shawn would give us both, would either one of them would give us a nod, and it came to a point where like that's what we were working for. Yeah. If I get that fucking nod, like obviously I'm working for my paycheck too. I got bills, but getting that nod was everything.
Yeah. No, 100%. And
yeah,
and just having it from two legends too. It's right place, and like, that's what's crazy at wrestling too. It's like a lot of entertainment and stuff like that. Even just sports, right place, right time. Meeting different people, and I always think that wrestling's cool too, as far as like collaborations. And that sometimes they just start you just being friends with someone that you haven't worked with before, and then you end up in the same company, and they see that it's easy that you guys can just do your thing together, and the chemistry's already there. But yeah.
Well, watching the guys, know that the guys like Sean and Triple H that I grew up watching, but like if I look at a guy like Sting was so influential in my fandom. So to work with him in AEW, and he came up to me one time unsolicited and just was complimentary about my match or the way that I about my match. So for me, he didn't realize, but the compliment that was to me, for him to respect the way that I did the business that he used for however many years to put food on his table and to provide for his family, and here he is telling me that I do it well. Fucking forget about it.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
I can't wish for a better compliment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from the legends, it definitely has to mean the most for sure. But
That's what's beautiful about this industry, and that's what's special about it, and it's what's unique. It's this beautiful, violent thing that defies description.
and just and like all and like sports in general, just getting better over time, the product, because each generation of wrestlers learn new things, new ways around stuff, added moves, and keep passing it down. If they're the cool legends, I'm sure some keep it tight to the vest and aren't as plentiful with their ideas and suggestions. But yeah,
There's more nowadays that are forthcoming with it and want to share and want to pass it on. I can only speak for myself, but I know like
yeah,
I did not expect to love working with younger talent, but I do. I love passing it on. I love, what am I going to do if I Bogart this shit? I'm going
yeah,
to take it to the grave with me. Like I owe it to guys like Fit Finley and William Regal and Terry Taylor, who were kind enough to bestow upon me some of their knowledge. So what kind of an asshole am I if I Bogart that shit and I don't pass it on?
yeah. And you have a big part of helping mold the future. So I think that's what it seems like. The Attitude Era guys, or even a little bit new generation seemed more open to helping. Whereas like a lot of docs things I watched where some of the guys from the 60s and 70s weren't as friendly with that stuff. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's a huge advantage, and why we've seen like wrestling just continue to go to the next level and just add new elements. But
it'll never go away, man. I swear to you that pro wrestling would survive a nuclear holocaust. It'd be like one of the only things still left. Somebody would still have a Hulkamania shirt, and you'd be like, "Oh shit, okay, we're good."
Yeah, because I don't think like anything really captures nostalgia as well. Like obviously movies, music and stuff, but like pro wrestling, I mean, always for me. That's why it was like growing up, and I started going to like meet and greets, meeting wrestlers in person. It was just just flashbacks the whole time of being a little kid and watching it for the first time, or being with your friends and kicking each other's asses in the backyard and stuff. But
that's how it starts.
Yep. But thank you so much, Bobby. I mean, it was awesome having you on.
Appreciate
it. Obviously wish you the best of luck with all the stuff you're working on, and we're going to be checking it out for sure. And and everyone else, should definitely be checking these stories out, because I'm sure you have endless ones, as you said, 25 years. So I'm excited to hear some more of those stories of the road and all these companies you've been in, for sure.
Well, thank you for having me on, y'all. And again, I just want to reiterate, easiest way to find that YouTube channel is going to be go to the Bobby Fish on Instagram. Go to the link in my bio. It's the first one. Click it. Once you get to the YouTube channel, subscribe. We're going to keep pumping out content. We're going to keep doing the thing. And it's just getting started, I promise you.
Can't wait to see it.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Invasion angle.
Bet you love that sweet ass podcast. I am John Cena and I approve this message.